All right. So thanks for coming, you guys. We're going to do this demo discussion on sky replacement and skin smoothing. As we've done in the past, I'm just going to go do a quick demo of these two functions. They're new functions on Photoshop. And then we'll just open it up to discussion. And I think what we'll do is, because sky replacement is a little more intense, we'll stop in between, discuss, and then we'll do skin smoothing, because truthfully, both these things are amazing. I know I would love to talk with people that use Luminar, because Luminar was the litmus test of sky replacement, and I think this now blows it away. Just because of control. That's it. And then the skin smoothing, wait until you see this. I'll show you the difference. I have a picture of mine that I did the frequency separation skin retouching, and then I'm going to show you what like literally 30 seconds of work in Photoshop now does. It's insane. So all right, let me start the screen share here. Oops, I should have something up here, shouldn't I? Boink, there we go. All right, if anybody can monitor the chat, that would be awesome, because I don't have enough room on my screen. And you can stop me anytime if you want to ask questions too. All right, so sky replacement, I've used Luminar AI recently. I used to do it in Photoshop, and then Luminar came along and made it like 1,000 times easier. And then all of a sudden, Photoshop decided to jump back in the game and made this sky replacement thing. So this is a older photo from an older wedding. And this is what I've been doing, is kind of going back through some of my really old weddings and being like, hey, maybe I can zhuzh up a couple things for promotion and marketing and stuff like that. There was one photo way back in like 2008 I took that I was always like, oh man, this photo would be amazing with a better sky. I have no idea where that photo is right now. So I found this one, and this is a tough one. So you got these weeds in the grass and stuff like that. And Luminar always kind of has a problem with stuff like this. And it's clunkier to make masks and go in and paint the mask and stuff like that. So Photoshop has made it 1,000 times easier. So usually what I do is I pull it up and then I just make a duplicate of the background. But their workflow has kind of taken that completely out of it. So it's pretty easy. You just pull up your photo that you want to sky replace, and then you go up into edit, and they have a nice little sky replacement pull down, which brings up this menu. So we'll just kind of go through this real quick. So this, they have skies already involved in there. They're preloaded. I would suggest you very much start your own sky collection. See, this is my sky. But because everybody's going to start using these and everybody's going to see them, and everybody's going to know that that's a Photoshop sky. So making your own skies is a good idea. This is pretty similar.
It's under file. Where do you, I can probably
it's under edit.
It's under edit.
And it's about halfway down.
Hey, Eric.
Yeah.
How do you, are you going to go over how to get your own sky in there?
Yeah. Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
You find it, Michael?
No, I thought I had the most recent version. Maybe I don't.
Here you go. Here's, so can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So you go up to edit, and it's right here.
Holy crap.
Mine's not there.
Oh, interesting. I am on.
What version are you on?
22.11.
About Photoshop. I am on 21. I don't have to use the one I got updated. Okay. That'll do it.
Cool. So to answer Lori's question, if you want to add your own photos, they don't have a bulk uploader. So this gets very tedious. So you have to go down here where the plus sign is, and then just go find your image and load it in.
Okay.
And you have to do them one at a time, and it sucks. But I'm usually only doing one or two. Once you get them in there, it keeps them in there, and then you can organize them, Lori, because this is mine. And then you can add a folder and you can pull it into your own folder and name the folder and all that stuff. It's pretty, intuitive. So once you get them in there, they're in there. And I think you can go in and load them in. It's very, where they hold them is weird.
Is there, I guess before you upload it, like if it's a sky image, like it's mostly a sky image that we took,
Mhm.
but there might be a little mountain on the bottom of it.
Yeah.
We probably want to edit it and just make it only sky first, right?
Yeah, they actually, so here, I'll pull this one in. So they actually have one with a little tiny bit of stuff. So there it is. This is what I love. This is I can actually grab this layer and move it around myself. You cannot do that very easily in Luminar. See how it has mountains on them?
Yep.
So yeah, you can just hide them, and then you can fade you can fade edges and stuff like that.
So it doesn't matter if you have a little bit of mountain on the bottom.
Nope. As long as you have, because that's the cool thing about this too, is you can move it around, but you can also scale it. So here's scale right here. So you can make it bigger. So you got to kind of take a look at what they look like. If it's too small of a sky, well, not like that, but you'll know when it looks awkward or weird and it doesn't match up with them. So like I even actually increased this one because I'm using a 70 to 200. I'm zooming in on them. So the sky wouldn't be so small because this was shot with a wider angle. So I would zoom in just a little bit on it to make it look like a sky that I shot with the zoom lens,
Yeah.
So
that is amazing because I'm just monkeying with it on my own on my computer.
Yep.
And it totally, like, it's a picture with a bunch of trees with gaps in the trees.
Yep.
And it, like, you can't even tell that I replaced the sky.
It does really. And I picked this one because it's not doing quite, look at his face. See, it's kind of blurring into his face and stuff. And you can kind of shift the edge a little bit. But so see how the feather is kind of shifting.
Mm-hmm.
But the cool thing about this, and I'll show you what I do, because this is the power of like Photoshop. So just to continue, so shift edge just moves the mask further away from the subject or closer, depending on how it looks. You can kind of visualize it. And fading the edge is basically the horizon edge. So it's either fading it up. So you know how when you take a landscape, there's that like tiny bit of bright spot down at the edge of it. Well, you want that there. If you don't fade the edge on that, it goes right to the edge. So the sky goes right to the horizon and it looks funky as crazy. So this, you can fade it automatically. So then the other thing is you can just brighten or darken the sky, which this comes in really handy, and change the temperature. So see how their temperature is a little warm. So I would just warm it up a little bit just to bring it into line. And also you got to look at where the light is coming from in the picture. So I think the sun is coming from the right of the picture in the sky. And the sun hitting them is coming from the right also. So if that's incorrect, you can just hit flip and it'll flip it. So that doesn't look right to me because it looks like the light's coming from the wrong direction. So that's something that you always have to worry about when you're replacing a sky, is to make sure you're getting the direction of light correct so it lines up in the foreground and the sky. Because otherwise it looks nuts. Like, I mean, here you go. If I pick, like, so this is a backlit sky. That looks crazy to me because there's a bright light coming from this way. Where's that light coming from? It just looks nuts. So I'm going to go back to this one because this one's a little easier so see how I can see the sun is hitting the clouds from the upper part. So this makes more sense within that. So let's change the temperature a little bit, just warm it up a little bit. And I'm going to leave it there. I might change it, but that's the cool thing about what Photoshop does when you hit OK. So the lighting mode here in the foreground adjustments, it's really just 2 of them usually, and it automatically picks the best one, but you can kind of fiddle with it. And it's only changing the foreground, and see how it that doesn't look right. So I'll use multiply. That looks much better. and that's just the blending mode. You can do foreground stuff too, lighting adjustment. I like where it's at because I want to get to this other thing. You can also like really, they have the refine brush up here, but with the power that it does afterwards, I don't even really use this because I can make new layers out of this. So when I hit OK, it's going to make new layers of every single adjustment I've made. So here I'll hit OK, and look what popped up over here. So I have a sky temperature. Remember, I changed the sky temperature. It has a sky temperature layer. It has the actual, this is the mask it created. Look at how beautiful that mask is. It's like very gradiated. It's really, really pretty. So I'm hitting Option and clicking on the mask to do that, to see it. And then it has a foreground lighting, and then foreground color, because remember I changed the foreground color just a little bit. So you can go back in and adjust these anytime you want. But the other thing you can do is actually add adjustment layers to it. So remember how I didn't change the brightness or contrast? Well, I can add a brightness of contrast. And remember that I want it, see how it has the clipping? Because I want to clip it just to the sky. So I'm going to clip this layer just to the sky, to this mask. So only these adjustments are made on the sky and not on them.
Could you show that one more time, like what you did in Photoshop?
So here, let me go backwards. I'm going to destroy that layer. So if it doesn't already, because I didn't make any changes, it would have created a brightness layer itself. But because I didn't, this is the cool thing about it, is that you go down to adjustment layer, the half circle, the circle with the half dark, half light. And
do you have to have your thing on, like the thing with the sky?
Yeah, no, you can just pull it anywhere you want. I'm just going to I'll show you what happens. It doesn't even come up. I think it comes up on the top, but here. So I'll just you can do any of these. You can do exposure or brightness contrast. I like doing brightness contrast because I like dealing with brightness and contrast. You could have done exposure or anything. And then what I do is I'll hold down Option or Alt on PC. And see how when you're over the layer and you're holding down and you come down to the edge of it, it gives you the little clipping sign down here. So then I can just clip it. And now it's attached to just this layer right here. It's only clipping this mask. So only the adjustments I make in it will happen only to the mask.
I guess I don't get how it knew that it was clipped from that layer.
Because anything on top, so the clipping just attaches it to whatever's below it, to this layer. Okay. And if it doesn't have the clipping mask, Lori, it goes all the way to the bottom. It affects all the layers.
Okay.
Okay. So you can make these adjustments on the fly. That's what I love. So the other cool thing about having this beautiful, gorgeous mask is you can actually affect it now too. So say this mask isn't quite, it's not quite great. So I'm hitting Option click. So see how we'll zoom in. There's some it's not great. There's some weird, artifacts happening and stuff like that. And then also we're going to deal with his face because he doesn't quite have.
Yeah, he doesn't have a full
the sky's bleeding through. So we're going to select the mask on this layer, the one that says sky. And then I'm going to hit Option, click on the mask so it turns to black and white, because I like dealing, because what we're going to do is in black and white. We're going to use our brush and our masking to work on this mask. So what I'm going to do, and you can kind of see it right here. See how it's kind of gray around him? Well, we can clean this all up. And what I've learned is I'll hit B for my brush tool, because that's what we're going to use to paint with. And then remember, if this isn't black and white over here, come on, there we go. These two aren't black and white. You hit D to turn them to black and white. And then you hit X to flip back and forth from black or white to paint with. So whatever's on top is what you're painting with. So we're going to paint with white. But here's the trick. is that you want your blend mode to be in overlay. So this is normally in normal, and you want to grab it and bring it down to overlay. What overlay does is it actually affects the lighter pixels and keeps the darker pixels the same. So then you want to paint, and I'm just going to go 100%. You can do this at a lighter, more subtle. So see how I'm cutting the, so it's making just a better mask on him.
So, and why are you doing this part?
Because I want his face to not be blue. So,
Okay.
so see how it's white and white reveals. So I want it to conceal. I want his skin to come out. So what I'm doing is I'm using white to cut down all the harder parts. And see, it's artifacting a little bit. You have to be a little more subtle with this, but I want to show you guys. So I'm going to come up to his face because this is really where we were, the biggest part. So white reveals, black conceals. I'm using white to make it sharper mask, but then I want to conceal this. So I'm going to hit X to go black. And I'm actually going to bring this down to like 40%. So my opacity to 40%. So I'm just hitting 4 on my keyboard. And then I'm just going to paint in where the mask is. And now what I'm going to do is I showed you on the mask, I'm going to delete what I just did, you guys. And I'm going to bring it back to the mask. And I'm going to paint live. So see how his face is coming back? That blue is getting off his face. Doing a little chunky job, but so. And then I can flip back and bring his hair out. You can really affect the mask. It's really, really cool. So you have this gorgeous mask already, and then I just made it even better. So like there's some on his shoulder. We'll get rid of that. So there's some artifacts on his, see the mask isn't great on his shoulder here. Oops, sorry. Oh, that's the seam of his, that's actually pretty good. That's the seam of his shirt, actually. So yeah, this is the cool thing about this. This is harder to do, I think, in Luminar. Luminar is not really built for layers right now. It doesn't do a really good job with layers. So that looks pretty cool. And the other cool thing is I can grab this. If I don't like the placement of this, I can go grab the layer, the sky, and then grab my move tool, and I can still move the sky around. And if I hit Command T, I can still transform it to whatever I want it to be. So with Luminar, as soon as you hit OK and apply, it's harder to make adjustments at that point. So this is, to me, much more controlled. So I can like, okay, say I want to have his head right here. That looks cooler, you know, so I'd stretch it out to, but yeah. So that's a sky replacement tool. And you can just keep adding, you know, more layers. And you can actually now say we're done with it and I want to make a global adjustment. I can just close the group that it created and then create an adjustment layer on top of it. And it will affect everything in that layer now, or in that group. So I can just saturate the whole entire thing. The sky, see how the sky is and the foreground are being saturated. So, or desaturated, which looks much better.
Eric, if you were going to start adding some of your own skies, what size would you try to make them to give yourself kind of the best shot at having an appropriate size?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have been shooting because I never know what I'm going to use. Like, see, I can use a wide angle sky on a zoomed photo. So I always shoot around 24 to 28. I don't do a lot of 20 millimeter photography, but if you do a lot of that, I would shoot skies at that ratio. But I tend to stay in the 24 to 28 millimeter range because I can zoom in on the sky and use a piece of part of the sky. But you have to remember when you zoom in on skies, you're degrading the quality. So you want to shoot at the best possible quality you can. So I always shoot on a tripod. I always shoot at a low ISO. And so I just want the best quality out of my skies I can possibly get.
And do these images need to be JPEGs to upload?
No, that was an NEF. You can use a raw file.
You can use RAW.
Yep.
Okay.
But yeah, you can use, just remember you're taking up storage on your computer if you have a bunch of NEF skies. That it does, be choosy if you're doing that.
Okay.
So
How many skies do you tend to have? Do you have like several dozen or just a handful?
I do. So with sky replacement, you always have to think of, remember we talked about direction of sun and just the mood of the photograph. So I didn't need a really moody sky. So I go shoot blue skies, blue cloudy skies. So
Okay.
I'll go, I have about 10 to 20 right now, and I just rotate them whenever I
Okay.
can. So like just the other day, there was going to be a beautiful sunset. I have to drive all the way to the coast now to get a nice horizon because I live in the hilly area of Michigan.
Okay.
But I took, with one sky, I got about 5 good skies just by, changing the angle that I'm at, knowing where the sun's going to be. I could get 3 or 4 to 5 usable skies.
Okay.
And I got there way early so I could take blue skies, and then I stayed late to get dark skies.
Okay.
So just
Nice.
maximize your time.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I know Photoshop has like a bunch of skies in it. But like, I honestly don't think that I would be able to tell that, oh, that picture used that Photoshop sky.
Yeah.
Like why? So, I mean, I guess I don't think it's a super big deal, if you don't have your own ginormous collection of skies, I guess.
Correct. Yep. Correct. So when you start, so the only difference is, Lori, is that when you start working for clients and they want a unique piece of artwork, the last thing they're going to want in that piece of artwork is a sky that everybody else is using. And then I also can say that I created that piece. I shot the sky. I shot the foreground. This is all mine. I didn't use anybody else's work. But if you're not doing that, yes, the Photoshop skies are great. You can actually purchase skies pretty cheaply from various outlets. You can actually go onto some of the stock places, and they have free skies. So they're just not high quality. That's
okay.
So it depends on what you're doing with them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, so are the Photoshop skies, if you did use one of those in a photo you were selling, are they considered free to use, or would that be like a legality issue?
Yes, you have to make sure when you purchase skies, you know what the usage contract is for those skies. Many of the people that are selling skies are giving you the rights because they want to sell them.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So they're giving you the rights to use in a Creative Commons sort of way. So, but yeah, always check that contract because some people can be weird. Like,
yeah, okay.
Since I have you right here, what's the short? I know this. What's the shortcut to link an effects layer to the one just below it?
Option or Alt, and then you got to be in the in between.
Okay.
Does that make you see where my icon is, right? Or my
Yep.
And then you just see how it changes.
Yep. So,
Yep.
Okay. Thanks. Yep.
And I'm holding down Option and Alt, and it just changes. I can move all the way, and I'm just holding it down, so then you can see it and you can click it. There's another way of doing that. There's like a million ways of doing that, man. So
I couldn't draw it from my memory. Thank you.
Yep. Oh, here it is, the other one. So just so everybody knows this one. This is the easier one, probably. I just like shortcuts. But right up here, if you have your properties channel open when you're doing this, see how this is an unlinked. And if you come to the bottom right here, there's a clipping icon right here.
Oh, yeah.
And you just click it.
Ah.
So that's another way of doing it. Same thing, just another way of doing it.
Yep.
Eric, are you happy with the grass on the left, or would you do more?
I would do more the first time. That's the weird thing about this is the first time when I practiced this came out gorgeous. And even when I was doing the masking, it didn't affect it as much as this. So you really have to be like, I would definitely come back in here and like, you know, paint this back with a better brush stroke in the dark areas. So see how I'm painting them back in.
Yeah.
I'm at 40% this year. I'll go to 100. So I would paint some of this back in.
Gotcha.
So I would probably go back to the original mask and just make sure I was very, very haphazard when I did this the first time. So I would see how I'm bringing stuff back.
Yeah.
So.
Well, when you originally just first brought this in, wasn't more of the grass showing? Like it wasn't all gapped from the sky like that?
Yeah. Well, and also the first time I did this on the mask, see how we have gaps here in the mat, like see how my sky's coming out below it. You can barely see it, but now I'm going to switch back and paint the sky back in, see how it's coming back in. But now look at the mask. It's just, you got to really watch. And the more you degrade it, the worse it gets. So it's always see how.
This is great. This is so easy.
Yeah, it's insane. So like, yeah, you want to do it the first time, because bringing it back, that you're going to have to be more fastidious about it. And but usually, like I said, I did it the first time, just worked beautifully. Now the second time the mask wasn't quite as good. So
what's the best way? You may have mentioned this, so I was messing around trying to get this to set up, but I got it. But bringing skies in, can you just open the sky into another? You open it to another layer, or you just open it when you grab your skies? How do you bring them in there when you grab them?
Into the dialog box or into the stack?
So let's say I have a great sky in my Lightroom. Okay, I just want to bring, and I want to add it. In Photoshop.
You could just, do the right click, open in Photoshop as its own panel, and then and the new Photoshop does a good job where you can just do the move tool and grab it and bring it in. And then what you can do is you can just copy this mask right onto the new sky. Does that make sense? I don't know if I
have to play with it, but I kind of get the idea. Yeah.
Because you can just you can add the sky as a new layer, and then just grab this mask, hold down Option, I think, and grab the mask and put it on the new layer, and it'll automatically make the mask on it. Yep.
Got it. Yep. Perfect. Yep. Thank you.
Yep. But it probably would be easier just go back into sky replacement and do make its own mask. But
find it right.
It's about the same amount of time, truthfully.
Right.
The other thing too, Eric, that's really cool is if you had, let's say you were doing something and you made a group, you could lay that mask on the group layer.
Yep.
And it does everything that's grouped.
And you have a beautiful mask. Like these are really nice masks. This is really hard to do. I mean, we're looking at some of the flaws of it, but man, this is tough to do right here. That's a hard mask. So yeah. So if you get a good mask, yes, copy, paste it everywhere so you can do yeah.
That's amazing.
So it's just, Luminar AI does some of this stuff and it does it pretty well, but I just don't have this control. I mean, you kind of do, but it's just clunkier, I think. It's way easier in Photoshop. So, and that's just a preference.
Eric, you could have it create the mask by doing this for you, because it does such a nice job, and then kind of drop out everything else and just copy that mask.
Yep.
And you've basically created a luminosity mask for your sky.
Yep. And then you could go into the channels and add that mask in there and then create luminosity zones from that mask. Yeah, you could totally do that. So cool. Any other questions or processes that I might have done a little too fast? We'll have the video so you can kind of scrub back if you want to look at it again. But any other big questions? Because I would love to move on to skin smoothing. So we are going to start here. This gentleman's giant face. Skin smoothing is, I'm almost mad at this, okay, you guys? Because This is, so here's the difference. So here's the original, and it's pretty subtle, but now here's the work that I did that took me about 15 to 20 minutes to do. Okay.
Can you
So-
do that again?
So here's the original. Here's my final and I use frequency separation, which is like multiple layers. And then you go in and you're scrubbing out each zit and nuance and making the skin. So what frequency separation does, I'm going to really, is smooths the skin, but keeps the pores.
I don't even see a difference between your first and your last.
Here's the first. Here's original. See how there's bags under his eyes and there's a little more
All right, I see the difference.
and I'm getting rid of glare. I can get rid of glare pretty good. And it just makes his, skin seem a little less like shadowy and wrinkly. So,
all right.
but that took me 15 minutes to do on my own. Now I'm going to go up to the new neural filters. So filter, actually, yep. I want to make sure my layer is selected down here, my original layer. So filter, neural filters. And this is new. The first time you go here, it might not be loaded. They are betas. So you might, this box right here might say load or something like that instead of this. So, and every single time you use it, you have to flip it on. Okay. Now I don't know if you saw that, but I'll flip it back off. Here's the original. And now I'm just going to flip it on. And this is just default. Look at that. Took away the glare. It did like everything. It did everything that I did. And I didn't even change any of the settings. So there's original, there's with it. And it kept, so what it's doing is it's smoothing out the skin. It's evening out some of the color tones and weird things, and especially the bags under the eyes and stuff like that. And, but it's keeping the pores of the skin. And that's what I'm looking for. So you can really blur it up if you want to go a little smoother. And then really smooth it out. So it's just evening out the shadows basically and the skin tone. But that's, so okay, I'm done. Something that took me 15 to 20 minutes is crazy. So if you hit okay, it actually creates, as we can see, its own layer. So I can, that's weird, isn't it? That's creepy. But this is the skin smoothing layer. So I'm going to shut this one off, and here's mine. And here's the new one. It's almost exactly the same. So something that used to take me 15 to 20 minutes, I can do with a click of a button now. And it really, really keeps it nice. And exactly what I want. I want pores. I want things smoothed out. I don't want you to look plasticky. He looks really pretty good. He still looks like he has skin. So, that's what I want.
Eric, after the fact, do you have any tricks for the glass glare and the eyebrows?
This one, I didn't really fix his eyebrows. I probably should have. He has a gap here. But with his glasses, I shot a picture of him without his glasses and a picture of him with his glasses, and I just painted out the glare.
That's what I do.
Yep, it's the easiest way, I think.
Yeah.
My mother's going to love this.
Yeah, you can go crazy with it. But with frequency separation, I can get into the crow's feet a little bit better. Like he doesn't have really bad crow's feet, but when you do have bad crow's feet and they start to, everybody gets it when you smile and they start to get contrasty, like there's definitively a brighter spot and a darker spot. I think frequency separation works a little bit better. But this, for my standard social media upgrade, that 15-minute shot in the studio, I'm done. I just, made more money basically. So this is amazing to me. So, and he looks great. I didn't do any layering or frequency. It just looks really good.
So when it creates that little layer from the tool,
yeah.
I noticed that when you're on that layer, there's like a box around the face.
Yeah, it's identifying where all of his stuff is.
Yeah, but why is it, I guess I started moving that box thinking that it might go down, like I might be able to take it down below her neck to get rid of some necklines,
Yeah,
but it doesn't work like that.
no. And that's the other thing. I actually did work on his neck and this doesn't. So it's not flawless, but yeah. So any other questions? Because I want to show you, it actually can do multiples. So
Oh,
if
you mean
ever-
if there's multiple people?
Yep.
Oh,
If there's a group shot here, you do the same thing and it's pretty intuitive. And all it does is it finds all the faces, will give all the, see how it has all the boxes, and you can just click from one to one. So like these guys, like she has makeup on, she doesn't need as much, here, I'll zoom in. So the bride doesn't need as much as like the groom. He's smiling, he's got crow's feet, or the mom, she's smiling, she's got some bags under her eyes. So this way you can actually make separate adjustments to each person. So like she might need a little bit more, so you select her, so then you blur her up and smooth her out a little bit more, but I'm not affecting anybody else's. So that's a whole nother thing. Like when you used to do like a filter for Sky, it would do our faces, they used to just do everybody, and some of the ones, the higher end ones, do better, but this is built into Photoshop now, so I don't have to pay for another filter. So
it's kind of ingenious programming, isn't it?
Oh man, it's insane. I can't even figure out how they did it. So
I don't even know how anybody learns how to use this tool completely.
you just, I think
I could barely do a clipping layer.
it becomes a need. It's like when you get to a certain point, you need to make a clipping layer. You just learn how to do it, and then you keep doing it because your workflow and process includes clipping layers all of a sudden. You know what I mean? So like usually clipping layers, you do adjustment layers and you clip it to the mask. So, and once you learn masks, then it just becomes, you do practical, Lori. Don't try to take it all on at once.
My goal this year to learn Photoshop is like becoming daunting.
Yeah, take one thing at a time. Like, what do you do all the time? You do sky replacements, work on that. So, but then it does the same thing, you guys. I'll hit OK, and it makes this crazy little, like, weird mask. And I haven't figured out if I can actually like
go in and use
mask
that.
this and use it, but
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. It's already pretty good. I don't know if I need to. So like, yeah.
That's what I was wondering. Like if you could go in and like zoom into that woman,
Yeah.
her, the one on the right, and maybe get rid of the bags a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm wondering. So it's just going to take me some reading up and playing with it and seeing, but if I can, because yeah, I wouldn't mind getting rid of some, if I was doing it, yeah, I would definitely frequency separation and get rid of this little, just diminish this line a little bit more. I don't want to get rid of it. I just want to diminish it. So, but yeah, so there you go. Any questions?
Eric, what would happen if you were to be on that layer and then zoom in real tight on her face, and like you were going to maybe use the healing brush to try to do what you just said you wanted to do? What would happen?
Let's find out. I'm on that layer. Oh yeah, it's like really messed it up. Smooth everything out. Yeah, there's no pores or anything like that. I wonder if we do it from the other direction and do it on the bottom layer. Well, that would just, yeah, see, it doesn't even, it's doing the mask.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
I wonder if you could duplicate that layer 0 now and then do it on the duplicate layer and then turn opacity way down.
Yeah, I'll have to play with it because, whoops. Truthfully, like, especially on something, the reason I'm showing you these is that I don't want to do a lot to these.
Yeah.
So like, the fact that I now have a filter that takes me seconds to just do a lot more than I was, that's insane to me. Like, if they're gonna get this printed at like 20 by 24, yes, I'm gonna go frequency separation, and they're paying me good money to do it, so I'm gonna do it up. But this is gonna be a 5 by 7, so even just the little that filter does is plenty. Like, it's insane how much it does. So
Can you do the before and after again?
sure. Oops. Command, no, option, there you go. So there's just that, the before, after, before, after. It's just evening out this, like, see how she has a lot of blue right here from the reflection of the sky, and the chin under here, because they're in the shade, but still the light from the sky is reflecting down upon them. Just that much evens it out. See how that evens out that skin tone, so it's not as blue. Yeah, it does a really nice job. Now the problem is I still want to do teeth whitening, and I have to go into another. Hopefully they'll make a teeth like a full face, like, so I can work on teeth, because I do that also with other layers. And so, but I just did a lot in very little amount of time. So
Do you ever go as far as fixing their teeth? Like the guy on the left has like a crooked teeth.
oh, I don't like, if they come to me and they're like, oh my God, I don't like my teeth, I'll be like, hey, I can fix it for you. But otherwise, no, I don't change them unless they ask me to.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yes, he may love his teeth. Who knows? If I change him, then I might,
You could show him what he looks like with his teeth fixed. And
yeah, he may get mad at me. I've had,
motivate him to go to the dentist.
yeah. So
Or you can get a job working for like one of these, like, teeth fixing companies or something.
yeah. So cool. All right. So there we go.
Nice.
All right, I'm gonna stop the
Very
sharing.
cool.
We'll get back into our group. Awesome.
Hey,
Any other questions?
No,
Yeah. Have you experimented with this enough to know, like for the sky replacement, right? Like you had the picture with the person and the sky bled into his face.
Yeah.
But have you experimented with it enough to know, like, when does it do that and when does it not do that? Like, what's the most likely scenarios where you definitely have to fix stuff versus where you don't?
Yeah. So the reason it did that on his face is because it was bright. It was very bright on his face.
Mhm.
And there was a lot of contrast between the shadowy part and the bright part. And that's why it kind of bled into it. So that's kind of where it happens. It's
Okay.
the contrast is best. So like, it's not always like, it's really tough to do a sky replacement in like a night photo. Like those trees, there's no contrast. So it's not going to do a great job on that.
Okay.
So you're going to have to go in and clean it up a little bit and do that stuff. So there are situations where that, contrast is what it likes. It likes to have edges to look at and things like that. And that's what the algorithm kind of does all of its magic on.
Okay. Yeah, my tree example, I don't see any problems with it as far as those spots to fix.
Yeah, I did another demo of this where it was all trees all the way across, and I had done cut like in before this. I would have to go in and like really mask every single piece, go and do the adjustment brush, do every little tiny piece and get it perfect. It did it perfect on the first time. I mean, I was blown away, and Luminar AI didn't even come close to cutting out the tree branches. So like, it's pretty advanced, and it's this far above already. I can't wait to see what they do. I mean, these are beta. Like the skin smoothing is a beta. That's not
Like,
even
it
the
even
final
feels-
version.
It even filled some gaps in the trees with the sky.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
And it looks like it, like it did before. Like it totally filled it up.
And you can easily go in with that overlay brush, and if you see a little gap and just do a little tap and fill it in, it's perfect. Like it does a perfect job. So like, even if there is tiny gaps, like I did a big, huge brush stroke, but with that grass, I would go in and do the gaps, just real nice. You don't have to be super precise, but yeah. and just do it on a less, I did it at 100% opacity. Just do it on like 20% and slowly build it up until it looks great. So masking is a lot of work. But this just cut the work down a lot. So that's pretty amazing. So
Eric, last fall, you may remember when the Thunderbirds flew over. It was a gray, ugly day.
Mhm.
Now, the image I have of them, information, I've got nothing but the sky and the Thunderbirds and all is gray. Would the sky replacement work without having a horizon? And would it work in that kind of situation?
yes, but you will have to do scaling just to make it look right.
Yeah.
It usually does a pretty good job. Luminar does an amazing job at that. I don't know how Luminar does that. It seems to put the sky at the right. I think it reads what lens you have and then puts the sky. I don't know what it does. It does crazy stuff.
What I found in Luminar is it was bleeding onto the jets.
Yeah.
Like the guy's face.
Yeah.
And so this looks like a way easier way to correct for that.
Yeah. So you can just correct it. That's the thing is like when you get into gray on white, that's going to be tough because you don't have any darks in the mask. You know, you don't have those blacks and whites to reveal and conceal. So you are going to have to go in and do a little bit of painting and stuff like that. But I think this is so much easier to use because in Luminar, you'd have to go up, make the mat, you know, like do all this stuff up. I hate it. It was just clunky to me. So this is, and the mask is so amazing on this. It's so beautiful. So it is a luminosity mask. It's beautiful. It's so gradiated and really, yeah, subtle. So, but yeah, on something like that, you probably will have to do gray on white is going to be tough. So,
yep.
Cool. Hey, look at that. 3 o'clock. We nailed it. An hour. I love it when they take an hour. That was perfect. All right. So, oh, did I send out the link? I did not. Hold on.
No.
All right. Here is the link in the chat box. If you don't know how to get there, you can stick around and I can show you how to get to this link. That is my YouTube channel. It's my personal one. I'm just dumping our See Like a Photographer stuff into that YouTube channel. I will be posting it to the Facebook page for See Like a Photographer. If you're not already a part of that it'll also be there. I just put it on YouTube because not everybody has Facebook anymore. And so it's just easier for me to have it on YouTube and I can just send the link out. We have CritCon coming up on February 18th. I'd love for everybody to join us or bring friends to join us. We're just trying to expand here in Michigan, but anybody can join. That will be at 6:30, I believe. I will be on here at 6 if anybody wants to chat beforehand. But that will be Eastern Standard Time, so 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. And I think that's it. I would love to have some more ideas for demos. I'm going to talk to Bob about what he does to sell his art because I think he's having some success in that avenue. And so that might be a good one. I'll talk to him, see if he wants to do something real quick and just chat about what he uses and what's been successful. So, but any other Photoshop things? I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Oh, I did want to, so I used a blending mode today, that overlay. I'm thinking of doing, this scares the crap out of me, is going through each blending mode and kind of giving it a definition of what it does. Yeah, I know. Thanks. It's intimidating and scary and confusing for me. So like, but I think what I'll do, I know Michael's laughing because he knows how insane it is. What I'll do is I'll actually pick out the one. What was that?
Now you just hover over it at least, and it shows you what it's going to do.
Yes. Yeah.
That really helps.
But knowing what it's doing, like what pixels is affecting and why it's affecting, like stuff like that. So I might pick out the 6 that I use. I like seriously blending modes. There's like 30 of them, and I use like maybe 6 to 9 of them. So like. Maybe that's an idea. That might be too advanced. Maybe we have to come back to layer masking. Let me know, because this is about everybody, the community. So let me know what's something you might want to go over and talk about and discuss. So,
Getting serious about doing selections might be a good thing.
Oh yeah, because that's
Yeah,
what
that
we were
would be
kind of
good.
talking about.
And then I'd like to see like, once you make the selection, like kind of the process of adding whatever mask and kind of fine tuning things a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. So we could work. Jerry, I usually work with the polygonal lasso and the pen tool. So that might be something that we discuss in demo of how to use those, because they are difficult, and then move on to getting the selection and what we do with the selection. That would be good. So that kind of covers Lori and you.
Mhm.
And it's step by step, because if I do all of it all at once, I think it gets overwhelming. So cool. I have those down. We're good. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for doing that,
Thank
Eric.
you.
It's
Yeah.
kind of cool.
It was great seeing all your faces.
Yep, you too.
And hopefully we'll see you in person soon. So,
Have fun with the baby.
thank you.
Thanks.
All right. I'll stick around for about 10 minutes
Thank
if
you.
anybody wants to chat. We'll see you later.
See you
Take
guys.
care,
See ya.
everybody.
Hey, Eric, one of the blending modes that I just discovered and started to use recently was the color. I had tried to do a shoot with a young woman that I was trying to recreate a painting that I saw. And so I lit the white background with some pink gels on the lights. I should have used barn doors.
Yeah.
And so the light spilled onto her white peasant dress and some tablecloths. And it clicked in my mind that I had seen or heard that you could do this. So I sampled the white in her dress and painted it, and then switched the blending mode to color.
Yep.
And all of my mistakes were gone.
Yep.
And I even did that in a tablecloth my grandmother had crocheted. So I sampled the color, painted in to get rid of all the spill of the gel light, changed the blending mode, and you can see all the detail from the crochet.
Yeah. It's so powerful.
I was just like,
Yep. Yeah, I've done it before. That the light painting technique that I use for cars. Sometimes it's not even, so that's what I do. Like I'll lasso up the areas that I need, and then I'll just do a color, and all my mistakes are gone.
Oh, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well, this was helpful.
Cool.
I'm sorry
Thank
I
you.
missed your masking one. I'll go watch for it on YouTube.
Cool.
I sat down, and next thing I knew, it was an hour later.